I had ridden horses all my life, but I had never ridden like this, not across a burning plain where the wind cut like a blade and the sky felt too wide for secrets. Not with a man behind me whose silence weighed heavier than his grip on the reins. Not with my heart pounding louder than the hooves beneath us. My name is Clara Mayfield, daughter of a failed preacher, widow at 23, and on that day I believed I was being carried toward my end. Because when Caleb Holt lifted me onto his horse, his hands rough but careful, his eyes dark with something I couldn't yet name, the town of Dry Creek watched like it always did, judging, whispering, already writing. My story for me, but none of them knew what I had survived to reach that moment. The drought that took my husband, the debt that stole my home, the men who smiled too much when they thought a woman was alone, and the way Caleb Holt had stepped between me and ruin without ever asking for thanks, without promising safety, only saying, "Ride with me," in a voice that didn't beg or threaten, just existed like the land itself. The horse surged forward and I gasped, gripping the saddle as the hem of my dress caught the dust, my breath leaving me in shock. And behind me I felt him steady me, not claiming, not crushing, but anchoring. And that frightened me more than the speed, because no one had held me steady since the day. The earth swallowed my husband's coffin, and as miles unrolled behind us, he spoke of the ranch like it was a living thing that needed tending, of fences broken by storms and cattle born weak and stubborn like hope itself. And I realized he wasn't rescuing me. He was offering me work, purpose, a place where silence wasn't punishment but peace. And when we finally stopped at the ridge overlooking Holt Ranch, the sun bleeding gold into the land, he helped me down, and for the first time I looked at him without fear, seeing not a brute or a savior, but a man worn by responsibility. And when he said, "I won't keep you if you don't wish to stay," something inside me broke open, because choice is the rarest mercy in the West. And as the night settled and coyotes sang, I understood that whatever this ride had been, my life would never again move at the slow, hopeless pace it once had. And if this story has pulled you into the dust and danger of the frontier so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this only get deeper, darker, and more unforgettable from here. Chapter 2. I stayed, telling myself it was temporary, that a woman without land or name had no luxury of permanence. Yet days became weeks, and weeks became something softer and harder all at once. Because living beside Caleb Holt meant learning the rhythm of dawn chores and quiet suppers, of shared looks that said more than words dared to, of townsfolk who watched me differently now, not as a fallen woman or a passing guest, but as someone rooted and still. The ride haunted me, the way the world had narrowed to wind and motion and his presence behind me. Because it wasn't fear I remembered, it was awakening. And when trouble came, as it always does in the West, it came in the form of a land agent with polished boots and a smile sharp as a knife, papers claiming Holt Ranch belonged to men who had never bled for it. And in that moment I saw Caleb stand taller than I'd ever seen him, refusing quietly, knowing refusal could mean violence. And I stepped beside him without thinking, my voice steady when I said, "This land isn't empty, it holds lives." And later, after the men rode away promising return, Caleb confessed that he had lost a wife once too, to illness and loneliness combined, and that since then he had buried himself in work, believing love was a luxury the frontier couldn't afford. And as the stars spilled across the sky like unspoken prayers, he told me that ride had changed him as much as it had changed me, because holding me there had felt like holding a future he'd denied himself. And when he finally said, "I want to make you my wife, not to own you, but to stand with you," the world went still. And I realized that love in the Wild West was not flowers or poetry, but a hand offered in the storm, a promise to face loss together. And I answered not with words, but by staying, by choosing, by stepping into a life that demanded courage every single day. And if this ending stirred something in you, the danger, the devotion, the untamed hope, then subscribe to the channel now. Because the frontier is full of stories where love is earned the hard way, and the next one may be even more powerful than this.